Book title: As a Man Thinketh by James Allen, 1903. Every day, unseen and uncounted, thousands of thoughts are born and die inside the human mind. They rise like sunlight through fog, faint, passing, often ignored, and yet they shape the entire landscape of our lives. Some of these thoughts are soft prayers, others are silent poisons. Some build, others destroy. And still, most of humanity walks unaware that every emotion, every word, every action begins first as a seed of thought planted in the secret soil of consciousness. In 1903, an English philosopher named James Allen captured this eternal mystery in a small, quiet book titled As a Man Thinketh. It was no grand volume, no scholarly treatise, yet its words reached deeper than any lecture or empire. Allen understood something few dared to say. That man is not the victim of the world, but the maker of it, and that heaven and hell are not distant realms, but mental states we build daily through the architecture of our thinking. Before affirmations, before self-help, before manifestation became a trend, there was James Allen, a poet-philosopher who walked the meadows of England with pen and paper, writing down thoughts as if they were sacred echoes from a higher truth. He believed that to reform the world, one must first reform thought. For the outer world is only the photograph of the inner lens. Welcome to Sethtra Audiobook, where books speak and wisdom lives. Tonight we explore As a Man Thinketh, a timeless revelation that thought is not invisible, not harmless, and not random. It is the real substance of destiny, the unseen current that drives the rivers of circumstance, and the divine energy by which every soul creates its own universe. Introduction. James Allen's life was quiet but radiant. He was not famous, not wealthy, and not celebrated during his lifetime. Yet he possessed something rare: purity of purpose. He lived by the very laws he wrote about. He rose before dawn each morning, meditated upon gratitude and virtue, and then wrote until the sun filled his small study with light. His words were not theory, they were the fragrance of lived truth. Born into poverty in Leicester, England, Allen knew hardship. His father was murdered when he was a teenager, forcing him to leave school and work. But instead of hardening, he awakened. He discovered that circumstance could bend the body but not the mind. The world could wound, but thought could heal. He spent his life writing about this invisible power, the creative and destructive law of thought. He believed that inside every person lives both a slave and a master, and the difference between them is not fortune, but focus. Allen did not promise instant success. He promised understanding, and from understanding, true power. To read As a Man Thinketh is to rediscover the oldest truth hidden beneath modern distractions: that you are what you continually allow yourself to think. You are the sculptor, the clay, and the hand that moves between them. Part 1. The Law of the Mind. Allen begins by saying, "A man is literally what he thinks, his character being the complete sum of all his thoughts." He doesn't say partially what he thinks. He says literally. To him, thought is substance, not shadow. It is the foundation of personality, health, success, and peace. Imagine your mind as a garden. If you sow seeds of anger, fear, and complaint, weeds will grow no matter how often you wish for roses. If you plant faith, patience, and love, your days will bloom with harmony even in storm. Most people tend their outer life but leave the inner field wild. They decorate the house but ignore the soil. And so, they are shocked when decay appears, forgetting that rot begins in roots. Allen says that the body is the servant of the mind. It obeys thought as the earth obeys gravity. The body reflects the inner climate. The calm mind rests easy. The anxious one manifests unrest. Even health, he says, is the echo of peace. Disease is the language of disharmony between thought and truth. He writes, "The body is the servant of the mind. It obeys the operations of the mind, whether they be deliberately chosen or automatically expressed." In other words, you cannot hide your thinking. It reveals itself through tone, posture, voice, and event. Life is not happening to you, it is responding to you. Part 2. Thought and character. Character, to James Allen, is the soul's architecture. He believed that nothing can be permanently gained or lost except by character. Talent, wealth, fame, these are accidents of circumstance. But character is the one currency accepted in every realm, physical or spiritual. Every thought repeated becomes a brick in the temple of the self. Each emotion hardened by habit becomes part of the foundation. You may change clothes, cities, or lovers, but unless you change your thinking, you carry the same structure within you, rebuilding the same walls in different places. He wrote, "The soul attracts that which it secretly harbors, that which it loves, and also that which it fears." This line holds the paradox of life. Fear and love are both magnets. Each pulls toward itself the circumstances that match its vibration. A man who fears betrayal will find it, not because the world conspires, but because his thought emits the frequency of suspicion, and suspicion is a prophecy that fulfills itself. The way out is to plant new thought habits, to rebuild your inner architecture. Each thought of gratitude replaces one of resentment. Each vision of peace repairs the wall of patience. You are not condemned by your past. You are reconstructed by your present choices. Part 3. Thought and Circumstance. Allen's greatest gift to the world is his explanation of cause and effect in thought. He says, "A man does not attract that which he wants, but that which he is." This line dissolves illusion. The universe does not respond to words. It responds to vibration. You cannot think failure and speak success forever. Your outer life eventually aligns with your inner confession. He compares the universe to a mirror that reflects not what you wish to be, but what you continually believe yourself to be. If a man believes himself helpless, the world shows him evidence of powerlessness. If he believes himself capable, the world unveils hidden doors. It is not magic, it is order. Life is not chaos, it is choreography. Allen says that suffering is the teacher of the unawakened. Pain is the universe's way of saying, "Look within." He does not romanticize hardship, but he respects it as an instructor. When you see problems as messages instead of punishments, every obstacle becomes a lesson in mastery. Circumstance does not make the man, he writes, it reveals him to himself. This is one of his most piercing insights. The world is not your enemy, it is your mirror. If you dislike what you see, don't break the glass. Change the image. Part 4. Thought and Purpose. Purpose, Allen says, is the compass of the soul. Without it, even strong minds scatter energy like dust in the wind. He writes, "Until thought is linked with purpose, there is no intelligent accomplishment. Without purpose, the mind becomes a servant to circumstance. Every distraction becomes a master. But with purpose, thought becomes disciplined, emotion becomes servant, and will becomes divine engine." To have a purpose is not to know every step. It is to know the direction. Even a faint star can guide a ship through darkness if the sailor keeps his eyes steady. Purpose turns failure into feedback and patience into power. Allen compares a man without purpose to a ship without a rudder, tossed, confused, reactive. He says, "They who have no central purpose in life fall an easy prey to petty worries, fears, and troubles. When you do not direct your thought, the world will direct it for you through trends, fears, and noise. But once you know what you are here to build, every challenge becomes material, every delay becomes design." Part 5. Thought and Achievement. Achievement, to James Allen, is not measured in wealth but in mastery of cause and effect. He explains that behind every success lies silent preparation, hours, months, or years of disciplined thought. The visible triumph is only the visible tip of an invisible iceberg of perseverance. He writes, "The dreamers are the saviors of the world, not because they fantasize, but because they persist in mental images of truth even when outer evidence denies it. The artist holds beauty in mind until it appears in form. The leader holds peace until it becomes policy. The believer holds faith until it becomes fact." Allen says that achievement is not granted, it is grown. Every harvest demands seasons of cultivation. The man who envies success without sowing effort breaks divine law. He reminds us that patience is not passive. It is the rhythm of creation, the knowing that time is the servant of faith. Part 6. The Serenity of the Soul. In the final section, Alan speaks of serenity, not as stillness alone, but as dominion over self. He writes, "The calm man, having learned how to govern himself, knows how to adapt himself to others. To be calm is not to be dull. It is to be in perfect tune with truth. The calm man is like a lake that reflects heaven clearly because it is undisturbed. He no longer fights the world because he understands its rhythm. He no longer reacts because he recognizes reflection." Alan says, "Calmness of mind is one of the beautiful jewels of wisdom. It is the sign that one has harmonized thought with divine order. When you have mastered thought, life cannot insult you. Events become symbols, people become teachers. You begin to see that the whole universe is a school, and you are both student and instructor." Part 7. The Seeds of Destiny. In his closing, Alan whispers one final truth. You are the master gardener of your soul. This line is not metaphorical. It is mechanical. Every thought is a seed that falls into the soil of subconsciousness. Some seeds sprout quickly: anger, envy, pride. Others take longer: patience, courage, faith. But all eventually bear fruit according to their kind. The careless thinker blames fate when his field grows weeds. The wise thinker tends his garden daily. He removes resentment before it roots. He waters gratitude before it fades. He knows that each moment of thought is a sacred act of creation. Alan reminds us, men imagine that thought can be kept secret, but it cannot. It rapidly crystallizes into habit, and habit solidifies into circumstance. Every invisible moment builds the visible world. Therefore, the only real work is inner work. Closing summary. As a man thinketh endures because it speaks not to intellect, but to soul. It reminds us that thought is not simply thinking. It is energy, law, vibration, and command. Every destiny begins in imagination. Every kingdom rises from mind. The one who controls his thought becomes the quiet ruler of his fate. In a world chasing shortcuts, James Allen offers the long road, the only road that lasts. His wisdom calls not for manipulation, but for mastery, not for luck, but for law, not for noise, but for noble silence. Ending message. Books like As a Man Thinketh are more than books. They are blueprints for becoming. Read them slowly. Let them breathe in you. Because one day, when life tests you, you will hear Alan's words whispering through the chaos. You are today where your thoughts have brought you. You will be tomorrow where your thoughts take you. You are listening to Sethtra Audiobook, where books speak, wisdom lives. Each week, we resurrect timeless masterpieces that remind humanity that heaven was never far. It was hidden behind thought. Like, share, and subscribe if you believe wisdom deserves to be heard again. And remember, your thoughts are the brush, your life is the canvas. Paint wisely.